currently you have 230,000 followers on Instagram. We started together around 2 months ago.
I would have given up. I don't like dedicating time on things when I don't get results.
Now there's hundreds of thousands of people that are following you and every single day getting real value and their life getting impacted by the value they're able to provide. And if you would have stopped before, you would have never gotten to that point.
Anyone that has achieved a certain level knows the value of getting the right help on the right task. Don't fall in the trap of thinking that just because this is videos and Instagram, you don't have to do the same.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you doing today?
Hi, Brian. I'm very good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you asking. So super excited for this call. We're gonna go through the journey so far, right? What we were able to achieve together, and it's gonna be an opportunity for people considering joining, or in general, a little bit curious about who you are, what we did together, to understand a little bit more. So I just want to start by saying that currently you have 230,000 followers on Instagram. We started together around 2 months ago, 2 months and a half, maybe now, and you had 2,000 followers at the time. So, first question that I want to ask you is, how does it feel?
It feels crazy. It feels good. Knowing that, once you can like know which levers to pull, you can achieve such great results. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Love to hear that. And just, being super genuine and honest with me right now is, of course, 230,000 followers in like something like 2 months is not average, right? It's not normal. Um, I want to ask you, did you expect such fast growth when we first started working together?
No, 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 definitely not. It was something that obviously you aim to grow, and I think I would probably would have been happy with like 10,000, 15,000. After at one point when I passed 100, it just felt like, okay, this is surreal.
Yeah, love it. Love to hear that. So let's go back like 2 months, months and a half ago. First of all, can you quickly introduce, like we started working together. Can you tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what was your intention with Instagram at the time when we first started?
Sure, yes. So I'm Stephanie Marte. I'm a former CEO. I have over 16 years of experience as CEO of fast-moving consumer goods and manufacturing companies. So I decided to do more pivot into public speaking and into coaching for leadership teams and the CEOs. So today I work directly with CEOs and their leadership teams in order to help them boost performance and boost communication among them. So I work a lot with high performing teams, with how to eliminate gossip and cultures, how to make optimized cultures for leadership teams. And so the point with Instagram was obviously to, first of all, to position myself, second of all, to reach new clients, and third of all, to, in a way, get my message out there on how I work with people, how I work with leaders, what my philosophy on culture and leadership is. And so that was the whole point. And obviously also to show people how I am as a public speaker, the kind of themes I talk about, the problematics that I tackle. So I needed to get my message out there beyond the barriers of, my warm circle and the people that I know here in my country. I needed to break those borders and get my message as wide as possible.
And something that I want to ask you, because to me, it's super interesting, every single time it happens. I mean, you just told me yourself, you had decades of experience in your industry, right? And one day you woke up and you said, you know what, I need a platform to communicate to way more people what I do. Um, what do you think triggered this? And why did it happen 2 months ago and not like years before?
It's a very good question. I think a lot of people will relate to it because a lot of my friends do, my, colleagues, entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, is that it's really hard for us after you've been grinding in your industry and kind of like putting the hours and doing the work, for years and years, for you to grasp on the idea that you now have to also position yourself against a lot of people that may have a large audience but don't have your experience, it's very frustrating. And at first, I think there's a denial process. I went through it for probably almost a year in which I was like, I have over 16 years of experience. Why am I gonna go on Instagram and do videos? Like, why would I go and do funny videos on TikTok and Instagram? That was my positioning. And I see my friends having that same mindset today. When you're like, you're a high executive and you just don't understand, why do I have to go on a video to say to people what I've been doing for years and years and years? So you kind of have to break on that pattern. That's kind of what happened. And I started getting this pushback from the market, especially on the public speaking side of how many followers do you have? If we put you on a stage, is our audience going to know who you are? Aside from your experience and your CV, it's almost like you need the social proof, and the event planner needs the backup that, okay, the audience is going to know who she is. She can handle a camera, she can speak to a camera. And that was one of the benefits that I've seen with Instagram, since it's video based, that people can see me interact on a camera with a public setting, so that helps. But that was mainly the reason why. I tried other platforms that were a lot less video based, so it was more writing, but it is very hard, in my understanding, to make a difference in those platforms. So like, put on your own seasoning, and like, you are competing text with text and AI with AI. But on Instagram, at least people see your face, and they get your energy, and they get a grasp of, oh, she really knows what she's talking about. Like, you see the difference when someone is really experienced and is talking from experience, where there's someone that just generated something with AI and is slapping it on a text on a platform. So I think that's kind of the difference.
100%. And I really respect you for doing that, because like on paper everybody can say, oh, I have decades of experience. Let me just go on a platform and let me, build a huge audience there and show hundreds of thousands of people what I do. But the problem is, especially when you have decades of experience, is you're not almost used to have to prove what
Yeah,
you're capable of, right?
exactly.
And it's like it's a humbling experience at the end of the day. And I always say it to all of our clients, is like, building a personal brand is genuinely self-development on steroids. Because especially if you have decades of experience and you're so comfortable in your niche, because like when you work on something for like 15 years, you become confident and comfortable in that. You
Hmm.
have to literally learn a new media, new communication, and now it's like, oh, now I have to prove to new people that I know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And you have to do it by infusing your personality, not sounding like everybody else. It's
Hmm.
it's literally a new skill. So it's like, yes, you're taking those skills with you, but it takes courage to be able to do that, and you're able to to do that amazingly, and I'm really glad of the experience that we had together so far. Something that I want to ask you is, connecting to this point, it's not like when we first started working together, it was your first video,
Hmm.
that you put out. Like, you tried a little bit by yourself, to really grow this audience and communicate everything that we've been talking about on this call. What do you think that you were doing differently at the time, before working with us, that was not allowing you to get the same results?
Yeah. So I started with a challenge because my birthday was a couple months ago. So I said, okay, obviously I'm very resistant to this whole Instagram thing, and my mindset is, when I'm resistant of something, I just dive all in. So I go like, okay, so I'm a little resistant of Instagram, so I'm gonna post for 40 days in a row on Instagram. I'm kind of like obsessive like that, because my mindset is that I'm being resistant because I'm afraid of something. So it's either the video editing, or it's being in front of the camera, or whatever that is. I'm just gonna break it through the reps. So I did a 37 lessons on the before 37, which was my birthday. And so what I did is I started gathering loose ideas of things that I learned, or things that I knew that had made a difference in my life, whether in my business, my family, me as a mom. So it was kind of like all over the place, and it was intentional like that, of seeing what do I feel more comfortable with, what do people resonate more. I wanted to gather data, and most importantly, I wanted to feel comfortable doing it and posting something out there, edited, and so it was interesting and it was fun, but it was not aligned from a strategic perspective. I don't want to, I'm not doing this because I want to be an influencer. I'm doing this because I'm building a business and it needs to like lead towards generating revenue and getting hired and all those sort of things. So that it was not that strategic like that. It was a bit of all over the place. So the difference was really getting clarity on how to go about this with the end goal in mind and how each action needed to be directed towards that, because it is time consuming. It is very energy consuming in the sense that once you go into the, selecting ideas and creating the scripts and recording, and you just systematize those things eventually and they start needing less time from you. But at the beginning, it takes a lot from you. So knowing that you were doing it guided and that I was doing it with clarity of the end goal made me rely more in that process of doing the reps and like doing things that were not working and then finally finding something that did work and then later on understanding why it worked, instead of going about it by myself and probably missing a lot of data and missing a lot of insights. It was very assuring to doing it with you guys, because some things I thought, oh, this is working because of this, and then you guys would tell me, no, it's actually probably working because of this other thing that I could lean into that, and that obviously generated traction and made the flywheel turn, and then 2 months later I have 200,000 followers. But probably if I would have done it by myself, I probably would have given up, honestly. Like it takes too much work. And if you don't see the result as an executive, you're like, why am I wasting my time in this? My time is too valuable. But if you know that there's a reasoning behind it, you are more leaning into putting in the effort that it takes.
No, it makes a little sense. And it's very interesting what you said of I think content creation is always divided into two steps. The first one is actually deciding that you want to do this and actually put in the work. And the second part is like, oh, I also need to have a strategy, right? But it's like a lot of people, and I think I genuinely believe you got results so fast because in your mind, you already decided that you were going to do it. And then as you were doing, you were like, okay, but I can do this so much faster with the help of someone that really understands it. But a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, because we tend to do like, I just want to do it as efficient as possible. That's amazing. You should do that. But mentally, you need to be ready to put in some work at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you were saying it right now, everything is becoming faster because like it's like everything, right? What you've been doing now for 16 years, you're so much faster than year one, year two, even year five, right? It's just the way it is. So now you're becoming so much faster on everything. But you decided, you know what, I'm gonna post every single day
Mm-hmm.
because I need to test this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember when Alessio and I first started creating content. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but we grew like slower than you, honestly. We grew 100,000 in 60 days. All right, so you beat us. But the mindset was very similar to the point of like we're gonna post one or two reels a day for like 6 months, and until we don't finish the 6 months of posting, we literally don't have the right to say if it worked or it didn't work, right? And it's like that mindset of like I'm gonna go all in is so important, and so many people skip that part. They just want the systems, but without the commitment,
Yeah.
right? So, this kind of two steps that you've gone through, the first step by yourself and then step two with us, it's so essential, to be able to achieve results like you've gotten.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Um, Something that I want to ask you, and, it's just incredible, valuable data for me and also for some people watching here. What would you say is the part that you found the most valuable about the program when we started working together? And what would you say is the thing that, helped you the most when it comes to getting these results?
Well, you guys, probably it's like the clarity, because this process can be very messy. And for someone that is very structured mentally, it can be very deorienting and very frustrating in the sense that you start believing that you're doing it wrong because your mindset is you're not on that iteration mindset. You're in like, okay, you put in the reps, you get results. You invest, you get a payback. You put in the reps with a team, eventually the team will perform. But this is more In the creative nature is more like you trial and error and you go back and then you start realizing like, wait a minute, maybe I need to check my offer, or wait a minute, maybe I need to check my angle, or wait a minute, maybe I need to check. And you guys are very good at keeping focus and keeping like very tight when it comes to the return of the investment of the energy and the time. Like, yeah, you could do that, but it's really not going to give you the same result as if you did these three other things. I need you to focus on doing these three other things. And then when you do those three things, then okay, let's get back on a call and kind of calibrate. So that is very helpful because it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole with this platform, to a point where you're like, wait a minute, I'm actually speaking to CEOs. I am not speaking to moms, even though I'm a mom. Okay, wait a minute. I am actually helping the CEOs with X, not with Y, even though I know about Y. So you guys are very, very good at keeping it tight and neat when it comes to focus, attention. And since you're very oriented on business, it's also very helpful because you understand that it's not just about the growth, it's about turning that into cash and actually making it sustainable through the generation of revenue. So I don't have to explain to you that, it's not just about the views. It's that I need to generate revenue. And then you very easily can get your teeth into that goal and not get lost on, okay, let's keep growing, 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 growing. So that's very, very helpful because I think a lot of people get very sidetracked easily with either changing the target, changing the offer, forgetting why they got on the platform altogether, or just going sidetracked by I'm growing on views, I'm growing on followers, and not generating anything. But you guys are very focused on, this is a business, A, this is the goal, B, we're staying here. Like you're not going to C, D, E, F, and no, we're doing A and B. And that's very helpful. It gives me, at least personally, gives me a lot of reassurance. It allows me to turn off a side of my brain. Even might sound weird, but it's like I'm just gonna let this rest on, Alessio and Brian. They know their stuff. I don't have to think about it. I'll just focus on executing it, and I'll focus on my expertise and my genius, if you want to say it like that. Whereas with other people, if you don't get that assurance that they get you and that they get that this is a business, I imagine that you would go more into second guessing them, doubting them, and going like, yeah, they're telling me to do this, but maybe I should do this other thing. So your focus on the business side and your expertise and your way of handling things gave me enough confidence for me to just leave that to you guys, and then I can focus on my thing and let that teamwork, flow and happen. Whereas with other people, that if you don't trust them really, you would be trying to do everything and then not get the results.
And I love to hear that because I genuinely believe that each one of us has its own zone of geniuses, right? It's like I might even like the business wise, me and Alessio, like please don't ask me to do like financial thing tracking data because like I'm gonna do a mess. But ask me to do content strategies, that's where my zone of genius is. So it's all about understanding what your zone of genius is and really using that to your advantage as a business owner, and then outsource or get help with the things that you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
And when it comes to your content, like you can be super creative because you're taking that from a place of experience. You're not trying to come up with it.
Hmm.
In my opinion, what you really needed, for example, in your case, but a lot of entrepreneurs is, okay, I have all this experience and I genuinely have fun and I want to communicate this experience with the world, but how do I package it? What is the strategy here, right? And to you, your zone of genius was the information that you can provide, your personality. I think you have a super cool and strong personality when it comes to content, and it was using that. But you need a help when it comes to the packaging and the system, right? And that's what we really helped you with. So it's super important what you're saying. And something else that you were saying before, which is also extremely true, is a lot of people start by saying, oh, this is a business. I've got to do it for the cash.
Hmm.
Um, the thing is, to me, there's always a fine balance between having the business goal in mind, but at the same time not that being your drive. And I remember like when we first started working together, what you told me on the call was like, right now, like I genuinely want to impact as many people as possible because I know I have the value and the experience to share, right? And if you approach content with that mindset, now it's like you're creating content to educate, to help, right? And of course, you're doing it very intentional with like, this is my ICP, this is why I'm helping. But you're not thinking in that moment, like, I'm saying this sentence so they can click the link in bio and buy my product.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I get people to know me, what I do, my value, my experience? And then, of course, with tension, with of finding the right people to work with. But I think a lot of people approach that not in the right way sometimes, of being like, this is my product, this is what I sell, this is what I have to say,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day is it's content. You're speaking to other human beings, and if your goal is genuine just to sell them something with the first video that you're creating, people will read past all of that, and they won't trust you. So it's a combination of having a clear ICP, sticking to the strategy like you were saying, but at the end of the day, like genuinely creating content that you know that will help the ICP and the target audience that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's it.
Hmm.
Like you say, it's a balance in the sense of I've gotten moments where I've done really cool content and that I know it's helping people, but then I would get a DM of people like really asking me, what is it exactly that you do? So I don't think that's good either. I think it's like you need that, balance of guiding people through the right funnel and then maybe a mix. So we worked a lot also on the mix of the content, like, how much of it was going to be purely educational and even a little entertaining, and how much of it is going to be a little more down to business. And, it changed on, I would say every now and then it would just flow and change based on the goal. And at the end of the day, I think you also need to find something that suits you in a way that you have fun doing it. In my case, my content tends to have a tint of comedy, very, very light, like nothing, I'm not a comedian or anything like that, but it does make fun a bit of the unusual, uncomfortable situations that happen at work. That's kind of and it's gotten good results, I think, because like you said, we're talking to human beings, and human beings, I think, connect with people relatable and with people that tackle issues in a human way. So probably if I would have gone on camera and started reviewing a profit and loss statement and gone, this is revenue, this is margin, go get them, it probably would have not had the same result, starting from
Right.
the fact that I would have not enjoyed it. So, like to your point, it needs to be a balance.
Yeah, exactly. And what I was telling before about the zone of genius, and in general, the USP, your unique selling proposition is like the comedy aspect. Like that came out because of us finding the right format, and a format that allows you to tap into that.
Yeah.
And and that's really where I like to help, people like you, which is maybe you weren't considering that in the first place, but then it's like, okay, what are your strengths? What it is that we can use to your advantage? It's like, okay, there's this format right here that allows us to tap into this. And as a consequence, then people see that, they relate to you, they like the content, and then all the beautiful things start to happen. So that's really what I mean by zones of genius, and really being able to tap into that.
Yeah.
So and what you said also about having a funnel and just an understanding of where you are in the process. It's like you cannot start by just talking about your offer. You cannot just start by dancing on trending audios. Like, what is that fine balance to start getting attention, and how do you build from there? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, people are super interested in what I have to say, but they don't really get who I am. Beautiful. Let's introduce more content about who you are and what you do. Okay, now people are getting an understanding of who you are, and they're also entertained and educated by your content. What's the next step? And so on, right? So it's also about like analyzing the data and really understanding what is the next step based on the strategy that we're building, and also being able to be flexible, I would say, and not be so like, oh, at first we said that it was going to be format 1, 2, but now we're talking about format 3. Yeah, because we're now getting real data from people and we can use that to our advantage. So also having that flexibility.
Yeah, I think mindset, it's I think I'll answer this and then I'll go get my charger because if not we're gonna lose each other. I think the
No worries.
mindset is critical because if you start in this, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs and high executives could fall into this trap, and it's understandable of, I don't want to make fun of myself. I don't want people to think less that I'm less serious than I am, or that I'm not reliable, or that I'm not trustworthy. So I'm not gonna get anywhere near humor or, stuff like that. I can understand how people would go feeling like that. But I think if you put the focus on the other person, which is the audience, and you go like, wow, how my career would have been different if someone had told me how to deal with this, and no one at the MBA told me. No one explained this to me. I had no mentor to explain this to me. I think if you put the focus on the other person, it'll be a lot easier and you will enjoy it more because we didn't start off going like, "Oh, we're going to be funny." We just decided to do a batch of 9 videos, and those 9 videos were totally different from each other in format, and like the content were within some ranges. I was not going to talk about cooking or dancing, but the formats were very different. So it was like, okay, it was trial and error, really. Like, let's try this. Okay, yeah, you know what? I didn't really enjoy it. Let's try this one. Oh, it performed super well and I enjoyed it. Okay, let's do more of that. And then, and you start like, we started leaning into those things, and when you see that it's having a result, like you are impacting people, you are growing, like people is commenting that this is valuable and helpful, then obviously you lean more into that. But if you go from the cold aspect and go like, I'm gonna go do this program and I'm gonna try something totally out of my comfort zone, people will probably freak out and not even try. I think people also need to rely a little on the process, and that's why it's so important to trust in you guys, because when you see how experienced you guys are and how much you understand this and how much you like, you also have something that you're very calm. You have this like calm energy, which is very not, I'm not gonna say soothing. It's more like it allows me to feel I can trust. It sends a message of control also. So that is very helpful, because if that was not the case, then it's very hard to go out of your comfort zone, put yourself out there publicly when you have a reputation, when you have been working for years and years in your field, and then, oh, I became the joke. That is totally not the case. Like, what's happening is that you're exploring these different aspects of you and your experience and how that can be put to service to others, but you're doing it guided by people that you trust, and that people that transfer that sense of control and expertise. So yeah, you can be a little more courageous, if you will, because you kind of have a net where you will fall on. Okay, let me
Mhm.
go get the charger so I don't lose you
No worries. No
100%.
worries. No worries.
Okay, we're good.
You good? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we're good.
Okay. But yeah, totally. And really appreciate you sharing that, because also I honestly love to jump on these calls because as a coach, it gives me a ton of data and understand, what I'm doing right and what I still need to improve on. So really, really appreciate you sharing that. And you're totally right. It's about, I really, really love what you said there. Like, are you putting yourself in the person that you're trying to help in the first place? Like, are you thinking from that perspective, or are you thinking from your own perspective? And the moment where you're able to do that switch, your content becomes so much better, because it's like, oh, of course, from a like authority standpoint, I would like to point out the data here and the revenue here and get millions of views, and people say like, wow, you're so smart. Of course you would like to, of course you would like to get that, but it's like, would people really do that? Like, on Instagram especially, they have billions of videos that they can watch,
Yeah.
right? Like the endless choice. Like, are they really gonna look at that? So, what if I can put a little bit of humor, comedy, while genuine, like impacting these people and educating them?
Mhm.
Now we're talking. Now I want to watch it. So it's like it's super true what you said there, and it's like I feel like people are almost selfish many times when they create content. Like it's very easy to be selfish. Like, oh, I'm interested in this, so I'll talk about this. I think this is cool, so I'm gonna talk about. Yes, do people think that this is interesting in the first place, or are you just being selfish? And there's nothing wrong with creating content that you find super interesting, but you gotta compare it with data. It's like, do people agree with that? or
Yeah.
they don't? Like what do I have to tweak to not make such selfish content where I just do it for myself and actually listen to the other part? So
Yeah.
that's super important.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
it's also other than the self-interest perspective is also the cringe. Like to my point, let's say last year, I've done so many huge things, being so young. I've done exits, mergers, acquisitions. I've negotiated with the biggest banks in the world. And I sometimes I look back and I go like, why was I not sharing that? Like, why was I not building my personal brand when I was doing all that? But of course, when you are in there, you're in the mindset of putting in the hours, doing the work, head down, and you do what you got to do. Plus, you are also thinking about, I have a board to report to. What will my board think of this video that I'm creating? And obviously, when you get a different structure and freedom, you have a lot more creative freedom as well. But it does create that sense of cringe and shame when you get out of the standard of what people will feel comfortable with, the suit, the very complicated language that probably no one understands other than you and the bankers. But that kind of feels like I'm serious, I'm respected, and I'm safe. For you to do the other stuff, you need to, step out of your comfort zone and yeah, like be okay with I mean, people will think that you're a little ridiculous. Then that's okay. Like if you are okay with what you're doing and you're delivering value and that that there's a purpose behind what you're doing, then you go for it. But I can also understand why an executive would be like, yeah, I'm not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
gonna do that.
100%. And and I truly get that. Something important there though is many times when we do that, we're not taking into consideration that the people that would find us ridiculous or cringe are not the people that we want in our profile in the first place,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, if your content is not doing that, there's something very wrong with it. Like, because you're trying to have that vanilla approach that it's like, you cannot be against me, but you cannot even be a fan of me
Yeah.
because it's just like, yeah, you're right. It's like making a video and saying like, revenue in business is important. Right. It is.
You don't say.
There you
You
go,
you move to your team. Okay.
Hmm.
What
Yeah,
else? Yeah,
exactly.
I think you're absolutely right. And probably my personality is very strong, so I would have not expected any of my content to be non-challenging. Like my content is also contrarian in its positions because and if you see like, oh, she's always defending the business people, or no, she's always defending the employees. Like I say what I think really, and then it will filter people automatically. But it is vulnerable. I mean, no one likes being attacked. I don't, it's not like you, now I got used to it. Now I'm like, yeah, this person didn't get the point of the video, you skip it. But
Hmm.
at first it was like, the first time I went viral, I remember I went to you like, people hate me. Why? I'm trying to help. Why is people attacking me? But then it's also very helpful because I come from the fast moving consumer goods industry, which means that I've always worked with products that are sold in mass. So, as many people as possible, within a target. So, it's very interesting to understand how people think and how people make decisions through Instagram because for some reason people think like comments are hidden or like the way people comment sometimes. I go like, do they know that that's public? So it has also given me a new perspective like a mass of consumers and how they think and how they see certain figures or standards. Like how do they think about the CEO? How do they think about a culture? How do they think about getting fired? And then obviously those things I integrate into my how I help my clients. Because sometimes you're the CEO, and like I said, I've been a CEO for over 16 years. I didn't have necessarily that closeness to how an employee sees a business, a challenge, the world, HR, culture. But then when you see the comments, you're like, ah, that's why it's not getting through. That's why we're not being able to connect the vision to the people because this is blocking it. Like they think business people are, doing this and this. Okay, we need to tackle that. We need to face it and make sure we kind of like debunk that. So it's given me also a new perspective on how usually employees and teams look at things. And it's also given me strategic empathy of being like, oh, this is not your CEO perspective is fine, but this is how the consumer looks at it, and this is how the employees are looking at it. If we want to get through that, we need to tackle it. So that it's also been very helpful from that perspective.
That's super interesting. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're reaching millions of people every month, and you're getting data from basically each one of those. So it makes sense why you're getting valuable insights from that.
Yeah.
And it's like what I love about this course is I know sadly a lot of people won't use them this way, but if you would watch this whole call that we had so far, you would get so many valuable insights and lessons that you can use for your own content. Because like we literally reverse engineer what you did, right? And it's like something so important you just said is the whole concept of being able to be vulnerable in your content. Like even inside of the program, like I need to constantly push people to go through that because it's not easy, as you were saying.
No.
But it's like, is that being vulnerable? And it's like, I'm a leader, right? And this is what I believe about X. If you're able to put your thoughts such in a clear way, you know, 50% of people will not agree with your view, but the 50% of people that will decide to follow you, right? I always like to visually have this thing of like, okay, you're trying to be a leader and you got to pick if you want to go left or right in a road, but you're trying to stay in the middle and saying like, both left and right can work. And now you're wondering why people are not deciding to follow you on the journey.
Yeah.
Like, do I have to go left or do I have to go right? Like, tell me, right?
Yeah.
And when you say like, let's go left, guys, like 50% of people will follow you, 50% will wait for someone to tell them to go right.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to take that stance, you got to take that position because if not, like, why would people follow you, right? So
Yeah, I think it also faces you with what is your stance. Okay, it's one thing when you look at a topic, let's say, should companies fire someone that is dating someone within the team? And there's no policy. Let's just go with the scenario that there's no written policy about it. My stance is absolutely yes. Because if I asked you and you lied to me, let's say I asked you, are you dating this person? And you say no because you want to hide it, and then it comes out, you're not getting fired because you're dating someone, you're getting fired because you lied to me. So it's a very clear stance. But I think the moment you have to record yourself on video saying that stance, first of all, you need to figure out what your stance is. And there's a lot of things that when I've seen it before, like doing the script or working on the idea, I go like, oh my God, my position on this, it's particularly radical. And then probably the day that I posted, I know that I'm gonna get a lot of hate from some people, but it is my stance. So my point here is that the process will also guide you on understanding what your position is, because you will have to make a position, like either you do very general content or you show your perspective, and then you have to be okay with people going like, you're crazy, why would you fire some? I've had videos where I say if someone breaches confidentiality, they get fired right away. One of my formats is fire or train, and then someone will throw me scenarios and I'll say I'll fire, I'll train. And I've had scenarios where I go like, if someone breaches confidentiality, fire. And I've gotten attacks for that, which, I go like, how could people defend keeping someone? But the world is so different and people have different perspective and different positions. You just have to take a stance on things and be open also to change them, I guess, if the new data comes in and you grow or you understand new things, and you go about that. But I think the process will make you face also what is your position on certain issues
I
within.
love that. I love that. And you open my mind right there, because like I haven't really thought about it this way before. Um and that's very valuable insight and data for me because you're absolutely right. It's not just about communicating it. It's probably asking yourself for the first time a lot of questions that you never asked yourself. It's like, what's my actual position here? Because like and I gotta be convinced enough to put it potentially in front of millions of people. Right?
Absolutely.
So
Like
so
you have to. figure out like, okay, what? So for example, I saw something the other day and it was like, would you fire someone that stopped paying their I don't know how you say that in English, like when people get divorced and one of the parent needs to give money for the children,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
No.
support money, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you have a director within your team and you find out that they are not paying that and you know they're making money because you're paying them the money legally, at least in the Dominican Republic, you cannot fire them because of that. Now morally, it's your responsibility, it's your children. You're not taking care of the main responsibility of it's your children. Am I really expected to think that you're going to take your responsibility in a business that is not yours when you cannot even face the responsibility of taking care of your children? So you know what I mean? Like it's a position when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, what would I do? I've never had to deal with that, but yeah, I would fire them. Like if you don't have the moral stance to face such a basic responsibility as your family, I will not expect you to make face a responsibility of a project, a business, a budget. Why? It's not even yours. You can't even take care of your own child. So I think it also makes you face these positions and go like, okay, now I have to go on camera and say this. Now I cannot be bullshitting people because then I go like, in 5 years, anyone could take either of these videos and go like, wait a minute, I thought your position was this. Like, what are you saying?
Mhm.
You also have to you have to treat it from that perspective as well.
Super interesting, yeah, sure. And and probably as you were saying before, like it allowing you to learn so much more and also like putting yourself in scenarios that you never considered. And as a consequence, it's probably also improving your skills as a leader
Yeah.
and a team leader because there's certain things that simply if you wouldn't have this exposure and this, willingness to create content, you would maybe in your life never face these things. So, also from like a work perspective, I genuinely believe that it's making you better so much faster by thinking about these scenarios and then putting videos out there, talking about them, like scenarios that you would never live otherwise. So,
Yeah.
super, super interesting take. Love it, love it. I mean, we could talk for like another hour about this thing because like it's super fun for me. But um, I just want to ask you, a few last questions, and then
Yeah.
we can go from there. But something that to me is is very, very important to understand is, and I want you to be honest right now. You kind of said it before, but your answer here doesn't want it to be oh, it's all because of you guys, would not be here. I genuinely want you to reply to this question honestly. If we would never started working together on this, as of right now, where do you think you would be with your personal brand and content?
I think I would have given up by now. I don't like dedicating time on things when I don't get results. So by now I probably would have given up. So it maybe would be 3,000 followers. Maybe I would have taken it to four. God knows, had I by luck hit a viral piece of content. So for me, the worst scenario would have been that, would have been giving up and losing the opportunity of reaching so many people, impacting so many people, hopefully changing some leaders' minds on how to go about certain things and how much you could actually make an impact just by being a leader, and getting that message through. I think that would have been the worst of I probably would have given up. I just don't like putting in hours and energy when I don't see a result and when I don't see things at least having a good trend. I probably would, like I said before, I would have never had the expectation of reaching 200,000, but had I not reached 10K maybe in certain amount of months, I would have given up.
And you know what's not I don't think sad is the right word, but when you say that, what I find a little sad is like, and what I'm on the other side so grateful that we've gone through this journey together is not even the money and the potential right now that we have, of generating with this business, but it's like now there's hundreds of thousands of people that are following you and every single day getting real value
Mhm.
and their life getting impacted by the value they're able to provide. And if you would have stopped before, you would have never gotten to that point. Like hundreds of thousands of people would not know who you are. They would not get value from there.
Mhm.
And just think about it's very hard to see it on a daily basis because you're not having conversation with all these people.
Yeah.
But just think about how many leaders already probably use one of your advice that you give in a video and improve just like that their team culture. And when you like as a leader, when you're a leader helping other leaders, what I think is so powerful there, you're not impacting one's life, you're impacting their life, and as a consequence, the entire team that they work with.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's literally a net that you're building
Mhm.
there, and I think that's amazing. So I'm glad you didn't give up. I'm glad you decided to work together, and now we're not even halfway inside of the program, but we're already filming a testimonial because like, hey, I think it was worth it. Um, one of the last questions that I have for you is you have now 230,000 followers. You didn't expect to growing this fast. And I'm sure this opened up a lot of opportunities. What are you the most excited about now with your journey and the next steps for you?
Um, what I'm most excited about next is kind of integrating a lot of the things that I've had to learn in a crash, because I think the good thing is I've gone viral, so it's like the excitement, okay, let's go. This is the way. But then that means that you're pushed to learn everything as a crash. So from being, like I said before, a CEO of a team of over 900 people, which means that everybody, like I had a lot of people helping me to do a lot of things and I could delegate a lot of things. Today, I need to do more things myself. So I've had to learn so many new skills at the same time to face the growth and like the whole situation. I'm excited about integrating things and being like getting that pace of feeling like I have the reins of this wild horse, and that I can actually be more intentional on how I aim things to get different results, like whether that is to get more speaking gigs, whether that is to get people into my program, and kind of like, okay, now I know that when I do A, I get B. So let's do more of A. So since it's been a lot of learning, iteration, trial, error, go here, no, that didn't work. Now I'm excited about stabilizing and integrating things and going like, oh, okay, I know that this will work. Let me just do it and
Yeah,
make it repetitive and make it consistent and make it systematized also.
100%.
Uh,
And that's honestly the reason why we're working together on this for 6 months and not three.
exactly.
And and what I mean by that is, okay, we now got the big results, everything, but it's like it's a matter of fact that we also got there. And I'm not saying to get any, pride, ego, or anything, but it's like it's a matter of fact that we also got to this point this fast because of the direct advice that we were able to give you, right? So now it's like, can you do it all by yourself for years? Right? Like, can you truly understand, okay, when I do this, this happens, when I do that, that happens, right?
Exactly.
And that's what you want to feel now, like having control of and truly understanding. And when we work with someone, that's our priority. It's not just like, okay, we can get you great results 2 3 months in, amazing. Can you sustain this by yourself? Like, are you actually understanding the system? And what that when I do X, Y happens. Because when you understand that, that's when you really start to have control over it. The guesswork just disappears. And as a consequence, also your confidence goes way more up, right? Like I'm sure that when you have to handle something happening in a team environment, you're confident because you've done it by yourself before
Yeah.
and you were able to solve that situation. So now you're confident about it. So,
Mhm.
our goal right now is like, how can we monetize this? How can we grow even more? But on top of that is how can I pass you all my skills and my understanding of these things so you can go ahead and keep on doing it forever.
Yeah, exactly. And making it sustainable and
Yeah,
repetitive. Um, yeah, that's super important because if not, then I would assume, right? Because early in the process that then you go, those are the people that grew, and then you see they stop posting, I guess, and then that's sad because you're
yeah.
not getting the ability to impact all those people.
Exactly. And it's when that happens is because you're not like you decided to stop learning and you decided to like learn the skills of what got you to this point. You stop using them, you just start going on autopilot. So it's the fine balance between I'm gonna tap into what I learned so far, but at the same time, it's like how I build the initial strategy for me to get to this point. I
Hmm.
cannot get lazy, and I need to keep on learning new things and applying in my content because if I do that, again, we go back to putting yourself in the shoes of your consumers. If you keep on doing the same exact thing for like 3, 4 years, and there's no type of novelty, you're
Yeah,
just doing it for yourself,
yeah,
and you stop seeing it from the viewer perspective.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely,
Love
absolutely.
it. Love it. All right. Last question for you is, and again, I want you to be honest. You've been honest with me on this whole call, but if someone like you, as an entrepreneur, a leader, thinking about, first of all, they made the decision of like, okay, I actually want to do this, right? I see the value in this. I want to do this. They're thinking about working with us, on this journey. What would you honestly tell them after, your experience together?
To go for it, to give themselves the chance, first and foremost, and to do it basically because of what I said before. Usually, when you're a high achiever, you're going for the result. That is, both good and bad. But since you're going for the result, a way to make it faster, like with less friction, is to have someone experienced and knowledgeable guiding you in the process. So that will make it more accurate, it will make it more effective, and it will make it more sustainable. So I would definitely go, give yourself the chance so that you can actually say, if God forbids it didn't work as you expected, okay, maybe your niche is too narrow, or maybe all sort of different reasons, but it's not because you didn't do the necessary steps to make this work. So you can like eliminate that variable and just focus on, okay, maybe it's not working because of other things, but not necessarily because you're not doing what you need to be doing. So I think anyone that has achieved a certain level knows the value of getting the right help on the right task. Don't fall in the trap of thinking that just because this is videos and Instagram, you don't have to do the same. Like you wouldn't go, you may be an entrepreneur, a CEO, an expert. You're probably not gonna go and do your financial statements yourself. You're gonna find someone to do them. So don't assume that because this is Instagram and videos, you should go ahead and do them yourself. You're gonna get frustrated, it's gonna be a lot of friction, a lot of disappointment. So why? Like if you made the decision of position yourself as an expert in your field and impacting people, then focus on that. Don't focus on something that is not your area really. Just leave that on the hands of someone that knows their stuff.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Truly, thank you for saying the things that you said on this call. Means a lot as your coach, right?
Oh,
And super excited about the things that we're gonna achieve together moving forward. So yeah, again, just wanted to thank you
yeah.
for your time today and sharing your experience. And I'm sure a lot of people will get value from this call.
Absolutely. Happy to. Happy to. You guys do a fantastic job, honestly. Yeah.
Love it.